Hello, my name is Sarah Pate, and I'm a librarian and the director of the Washington Center for the Book, which is an affiliate of the Library of Congress Center for the Book, administered by Washington State Library. The Washington Center for the Book promotes literacy and a love of books, reading, and libraries. And one of our biggest projects is the Washington State Book Awards. We're thrilled to have you here with us to celebrate 2024 Washington State Book Award winner Jane Wong for her book, Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City, an incandescent, exquisitely written memoir about family, food, girlhood, resistance, and growing up in a Chinese American restaurant on the Jersey Shore. We are so pleased to be partnering with the Seattle Public Library and Whatcom County Library System on this event. And hello, Claire, thank you for being here from Whatcom. So how can writing about food open up evocative spaces of comfort, family, ancestral lineage, memory, and shared rituals? How can writing through and about food strengthen our communities and open up our creative craft? This session will inspire you with sensory writing prompts and opportunities for feedback, connection, and breaking bread sharing. We're also recording this session, so just know that whether you want your camera on or off. Jane Wong holds an M.F.A. in poetry from the University of Iowa, a Ph.D. in English from the UW, and is an associate professor of creative writing at Western Washington University. She's also the author of 2 collections of poetry, How to Not Be Afraid of Everything and Overpour. And she lives in Seattle. So Jane, congratulations again on your well-deserved award. Thank you for sharing your incredible writing with us and for doing this workshop with us this evening. The floor is yours.
Yay, thanks so much, Sarah, for having me here. And thanks, Claire, also for being here too. I still am in shock too that I won this award. So I'm just like, especially since I love, love, love the libraries, since I basically grew up in one, aka kind of free babysitting. When I was growing up in the restaurant, the library was across the street, so I would just be dropped off there for like 7 hours. But yay for libraries, yay for you all being here tonight, or wherever time zone you are in. Have it be you're here in Washington State or beyond. And just really delighted that we get to spend some time writing together. That's always my favorite thing. And it looks like we have a pretty cozy group, so that's wonderful. So we'll get to, write and share with each other and get to know each other. But before we kind of go ahead and get to know each other and start writing, I just want to introduce myself and like a little bit about me. My name is Jane. I use she, her pronouns. I grew up on the Jersey Shore, but I live here in Seattle, Washington. And I have been obsessed with food my whole life. I grew up in a Chinese American takeout restaurant. I write a lot about food. I write a lot about nourishment. And I was thinking about today's workshop, really, um, especially I think after the election, what we need to nourish ourselves and what we need to nourish our communities with. And how, whenever I come back to thinking about food and care and nourishment, I always come back to that 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 idea of like community connection. And so that's kind of where I am now, and especially in thinking about connecting with friends and family over kind of the larger holiday season. It's like on my mind. I'm like really hungry. It's like all the time. But before we dive in, I was going to actually just read a little passage from Me, Me Tonight in Atlantic City because I thought I'd start off with like a little food, I suppose, just to kind of get us going before we meet each other. Um, and I was thinking about which section to read, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I have been thinking a lot about eggs, mostly because my mom would tell me when she was growing up in rural China in the countryside that she rarely had, protein to eat. She grew up not with not much, and so she would get an egg for her birthday, and how special that egg was. I grew up in a restaurant, in relative gluttony. And so I wanted to read this opening scene where I'm actually throwing an egg in a parking lot and how pissed off she was at me for doing this because it's like, how could you waste an egg? Like, how dare you? So I'll start there and then we'll kind of go ahead and meet each other. This is from the chapter called A Cheat Sheet for Restaurant Babies. How to lob an egg into a parking lot. Wait until it's dark, settled in dark, not sunset dark, say 9 p.m. The sound of breaking is better when you can't see it happening. When your father isn't looking, go to the fridge and steal 2 eggs from the bottom of the carton and wrap them up in a small towel like the towel you'll fold as an origami cup. Sneak out through the back of the restaurant, mind the potholes, and circle around front to the parking lot. Unfold the towel and give your little brother 1 egg. When he says the egg is too cold and it smells rotten like unbrushed teeth, tell him to shut up. Ground your heels into the gravel as you imagine baseball pitchers do to gain traction. Give all your anger over to the egg. Breathe your hot breath on it. Hold it up to the sky like an offering, a sacrifice, this careful thing that could have grown into something else. Tell your brother there is nothing to be afraid of. Tell him to stop shaking. He is no incubator. With your arm bent back at 45 degrees, hurl the egg high into the air, into an arch any city would welcome as a bridge. Hurl the egg and do not think about anything. Not about how your father sloshes an aquarium of whiskey. Not about the growing piles of bills you will translate later. You must give the egg all of it. You can open your eyes or close them. It won't matter since you won't see it land. But you will hear it. You will hear your brother squeal like a pig at mealtime. You will hear the splat, the crepuscular glob of the yolk spreading across the hood of a car. Poor car, you'll think. Poor stupid car. Okay. I promise no throwing eggs during this workshop, but yeah, definitely a distinct memory of doing that at the restaurant. Um, I'm excited to get to know you all. And before we kind of do so, I wanted to actually start off by writing because there's nothing better than just like going for it. So if you have a notebook, a writing utensil, or on your laptop, I'm going to give our first kind of like prompt, which is, I suppose, like a little appetizer, so to speak. Sorry for being corny, but so in my mind, it's like this is like just a little free write, just a little appetizer. And I want us to write a litany poem. A litany poem is a poem that's in the form of a list. So we're just listing a bunch of things. And in this litany, I want you to write, what have you eaten today? So I want you to start off by what have you eaten literally? So for instance, today I ate an overripe banana. Then I want you to write something that you ate more metaphorically or more ephemerally. So today I ate an overripe banana. I ate my mother's laughter in a jar. You get my sense? And then you're going to go back and forth between something literal that you ate or something you want to eat if you had a very unsatisfying day. Um, and something a little more metaphorical, or more sensory in terms of the imagery. And then go back to the literal and keep going again to the metaphorical and go back and forth. I'll rewrite that all in the chat for you, but we'll write just a pretty quick write, like 3 minutes or so, just to get something going. Okay, let's try it out. Okay. Just gonna ask you to add maybe one last element on your list, your last thing you ate, and I'll kind of slowly bring us back together. Okay. And I'm excited to get to meet you all and hear, even if it's just a line of what you wrote, you can share however much you want of it if you want to share. But maybe we can kind of go around since we're kind of a smaller group and just introduce ourselves to each other. If you want to say your name, if you want to share your pronouns, where you're calling from, what also drew you to this event tonight, if you want to share what you wrote, any of that. And if you're unable to voice yourself, you can share in the chat too instead. But does anybody want to start? Feel free to unmute yourself.
I'll go.
Hey.
I'm Sandy. Um, and I'm here because I read Jane's book earlier this year, Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City, and I was very inspired by it. Um, and so yeah, I'm also trying to write something, so I wanted to learn a little bit more about her, I don't know, approach, I guess. I think this is the first writing workshop I've ever been in.
Oh, so exciting, Sandy.
Um,
Yay.
So anyway, what I wrote, one of the things I ate today, was a hot dog pork floss bun. And it reminds me of, I mean, it's basically a childhood pastry. It's like you think like adults go to a bakery and get fancy baked goods, and I always go for the hot dog in a bun because that's what I ate when I was a kid. And yeah, so
I
that's that.
love that. I love that, Sandy. Shout out to the hot dog in the bun. Anyone else want to share too next?
I'll go hi. My name's Zach, and I I've always loved poetry, and I've started writing poetry and for the last few years. And I was online and looking for a workshop, and this popped up, and I went, well, I got to do this. This is just fantastic. And I wrote a poem called "Food as Love." So I just, so what you were talking about just really resonated with me. And I'll just read a little bit of what I wrote. Today I ate oatmeal. Today I ate the tears of someone's pain. Today I ate slices of apple. Today I ate the highway potholes. Today I ate Kirkland trail mix. Today I ate my mother's neglect.
Wow. Thank you, Zach. Wow, wow. Also, the specificity of Kirkland. Yeah, Costco. Shout out to Costco. Thank you, Zach. Anyone else want to share? And again, feel free if you want to share in the chat instead.
I don't know if I said earlier what my pronouns are. They're she, her. I'm Sarah again, even though my screen says Washington Center for the Book. I'm physically in Tumwater, Washington, and obviously I'm here because so happy to get to work with Jane on this event celebrating her award. I just like got mine started a little bit with the literal part of the I ate 3 chicken tacos from a gas station. You know, parking lot uh, taco cart, delicious. Um, and then I didn't even get much past the literal part. I was thinking about though the like the way that cilantro gets stuck in this one part of my crooked teeth that is the same crook that my mom had. So, but I didn't quite like figure out how to write that.
I love that. That's totally the next line. Yeah, it's so good. Thanks, Sarah. I think you had yourself unmuted, Ezra.
Yes, I did. I was trying not to cut anyone off. Hi, my name is Ezra. I'm coming in from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here because I'm a big fan of Jane Wong. I've read You Meet Tonight in Atlantic City and finished that in February. And then from there, I've been collecting all of her poetry.
Oh,
One I still can't get my hands on, but the other one I've read.
I'll
And
mail it to
so,
you. I don't know, whatever it is.
hey, that'd be great. My local bookstore can't get it, or it's been a while. But either way, um, I wanted to join just because I finished my English degree and everything, but I still want to continue writing and perhaps get published if I'm lucky enough, or if I'm strong-willed enough, perhaps. But at least from the list that I wrote, I'll share a little bit of it. Cloyingly sweet gummy vitamins, a taste not quite medicinal, but not quite a treat. Devoured emails of job applications, gnawing on hope that future can only satiate. More tea with a side of prayers. There's too much to do to be sick. Uh,
Mm.
Currently, I'm possibly sick. My throat's starting to get that little scratchiness that you feel as you're maybe allergies, maybe sick. So, and I'm doing a bunch of job applications trying to nourish myself by going after dreams and such and getting myself moving along that path.
Thank you, Ezra. And also thank you to just in terms of like, wow, I didn't know anybody ever. I'm always like, what people like know, like anyway, did I write? But thank you for that. And I hope you feel better too and sending healing energy your way. And of course, yes, of course you can be published one day and share. I mean, no one told me I'd ever have a book, so it's like shocking sometimes. Thank you, Ezra. Is it Cynthia? Oh, I think you still might be muted.
I think you're unmuted now.
Yeah, do you want to try?
See if we can hear you. No.
Oh, no. No worries. Feel free to type in the chat too. I see Clarissa in the chat too. Hello, hello. Hi, in Bellingham. I was just in Bellingham earlier today. And I'm excited for you to be here, vegan in Bellingham. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. Um, Anybody else want to share before we kind of dive into writing a bit more?
I would like to, just because I'm trying to be brave, because I don't ever do anything like this. So I'm just the host, and I just observe. So here's some of the things that I wrote. I ate acorn squash with melted butter and brown sugar. My daughter's anxiety on crackers. Oatmeal with raisins and walnuts. And my mother's missing me over ice with a twist of lime.
Oh, I love that. That's so tender. Thank you, Claire. Thanks for also
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. If anyone else wants to share, feel free to type in the chat too. Happy to read what you wrote in the chat as well. I'll share mine, which I just wrote. Okay, I think you heard the very beginning of it. Today I ate an overripe banana, spotted like my grandfather's freckles. Ate my mother's laughter brewing in a jar of sun-spooled tea. Ate raviolis, bubbled up to the top of a pot, like a memory foam pillow I keep putting in my shopping cart but can't seem to buy too expensive. Ate the cloudy fog off the windshield of my car, so moldy, so salty. Um, Thanks for that. And again, if anyone else wants to share, feel free to share in the chat. My plan for today, especially for those of you who, want to kind of get back into writing and get the seeds of a new poem started, you're in the right place because that's what we're going to do today. I have two kind of prompts for us today, and we'll kind of still keep sharing with each other what we wrote, and hopefully these poems can be pieces that you can return to later after this workshop and add more to. But I always love starting to write by reading because that's like, what is writing without reading? And so I want to share this first poem with you all. I'm going to screen share here. I'm also going to put the poem in the chat in case you want to look at it separately from the screen as well. This poem is by one of my all-time favorite poets, though whenever people ask me who's your favorite poet, I'm like, I start to panic because then I'm like, you mean like the hundreds and hundreds of poets that I like, love, and adore? Don't make me choose. I'm also a Libra. It's just impossible. That said, I do love Lucille Clifton, and I keep coming back to Lucille Clifton over and over again. And I feel like she has sometimes very short poems that I feel like, I don't know, resonate outward like 100 times larger than the size of these poems. I've read this poem probably, I don't know, 150 times, and I'm still amazed by it. Luckily, we have audio for this poem. Whenever we can get a poet to read their own poem out loud, I think it adds so much resonance to the poem. So I'll have Lucille Clifton read this poem, Cutting Greens, for us all. And then we could talk a little bit more about what you're noticing in this poem. And we'll do some writing inspired by it. Okay, here we go.
This is a poem called Cutting Greens. I've read it before, and I'm pleased to see that what happened that time didn't happen this time. When I read it before, I said cutting greens, and people laughed. To which I said, cutting greens, greens aren't funny, greens are good. This was a strange poem, because in the middle of cutting them, I began thinking about what I was doing. And it suddenly struck me as strange that I was, usually you mix greens. Some people may not know that, but you do. And I was thinking about, look at me mixing these greens, and they may not want to be mixed. And I thought that was a strange thing for me to do. Well, anyhow, cutting greens. Curling them around, I hold their bodies in obscene embrace, thinking of everything but kinship. Collards and kale strain against each strange other, away from my kiss-making hand and the iron bed pot. The pot is black, the cutting board is black, my hand, and just for a minute, the greens roll black under the knife, and the kitchen twists dark on its spine, and I taste in my natural appetite the bond of live things everywhere.
Thank you, Lucille, for reading from afar. I love this poem so much, and every single time I read it, by the time I get to and the kitchen twists dark on its spine, and I taste in my natural appetite the bond of life things everywhere, I'm like, whoa, 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 how did we get here? There's so much to talk about in this poem, and we'll kind of write inspired by it. But I would love to hear from you. Feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourself or raise your hand. Anything you're noticing, maybe it's like a word that stands out to you or a line, or maybe even the shape of it, or the interesting kind of punctuation too that's happening here. Does anybody want to start us off? Like, what do you notice about this poem? Any little bit of it. Yeah, Ezra.
I was struck first as she was reading it that the language of it really it's a lot more if we're looking at the connotation of all the different words, it's very bleak, it's very like harsh words in a thing that I think, at least with the way that I associate cooking and my relationship with food, it's much more like warmth and like enriching and nourishing and that sort of thing. So to see words like obscene and like it twisting it's on its dark spine, like those are, it's a very negative sort of tone to take with something that I usually receive very differently.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ezra. Yeah, the tone is really complex here. There's almost a kind of, as much as there is kind of like maybe harsher imagery with a knife, for instance, like in the spine, there's also like sensual imagery too. There's something about the everything but kinship, the obscene embrace, the kiss-making hands too. Like it's almost like there's like a struggle happening in the kitchen and trying to figure out how these like literally cutting greens, right? And then we saw actually that at the beginning of Lucille reading the poem, she mentioned they may not want to be mixed. And so she's having this moment of like, what is relation? What is kinship? And can there that be a moment of struggle as much as it is a moment of community and connection, the bond of live things everywhere? By the time we get to that, we know that there is some sort of like like, oh, we are connected, right? Yeah, and I'm seeing too in the chat, Clarissa, the line, the kitchen twists dark on its spine. It's such a strange image because we think about it, it's so surreal. I think this poem begins in such a specific place, like we're in the kitchen and we're cutting the greens, and suddenly I almost go so far out, like almost to space or something almost dreamy. I can't even, the image, I can't even hold on to it. And I want us to think about that in terms of like the volta. Um, a volta being a turn in a poem when we have that moment where we're going somewhere and suddenly there's a volta. And a volta can happen in many ways. Sometimes we can volta based on how a poem sounds, and suddenly there's a new sound or a new form. But in this case, there's a volta here in terms of just like, oh, now we're like somewhere else, right? There might be a pre-volta too. Like there's already a turn happening. I love the moment the cutting board is black, my hand, and we hear like is black, but we don't have it there, right? And that's a little bit for me. Oh, there's a turn there and thinking about identity too. So I love that line, the kitchen twists dark on its spine. Such a surprising line. And I'm always curious how poets like add those voltas in, right? To kind of like surprise us. Anyone else, anything else about the language or words that stand out to you? Oh yeah, Zach in the chat. I don't know what a bed pod is. Yeah, me neither. This is what's wild about Lucille Clifton. She totally makes up words. Um, Kiss making, bed pot. It's like these are words that Clifton has like kind of created, almost as if we could know what that is, right? For me, when I see iron bed pot, I think kind of like the cast iron pot, but like she calls it the bed pot, which I think is so unique, right? And so imaginative. And the same thing about the kiss making too is like I kind of can see that. It's like I can't help but do this motion with my hands. Like when you're curling these grains together, it's like you're kind of doing that kiss making motion. But these are again kind of made up words that Clifton has decided to kind of add, I think, an extra layer into this poem to make it even more imaginative. Yeah, there's definitely a unique language choice in here. Anything else in terms of things that people are noticing in the poem?
Sorry, it always takes me a minute to figure out. My computer's getting fixed, and so I'm on my mom's, and it's a completely different setup from mine, and so I'm always like trying to figure out where everything is. I am always really interested in like the sonics of things, especially where there's repetition within a line, and I keep coming back to strain against each strange other, and
Yeah.
like just the echoes of the those sounds in that line, I think are really interesting, and I don't think there are other places in it um where sounds are repeated like that in that close of succession within a single line, but that's something that I think usually catches my attention when poets do it.
Yeah. Hi, Ariana.
Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for that comment. I love that too. I love that moment with strain against each strange other. It's the syntax is kind of like not how we usually would speak, also, and the musicality of that, and then the line break away from my kiss making hand. Definitely a moment of music there. And you're right, there's not really another place where that's as like pronounced, I think, in the poem. I was also thinking about how, and Clifton usually uses a lowercase I in a lot of her poems. And then I noticed it's so subtle, but there's a capital I at the end of the poem. And I'm like, whoa, that's big. That says a lot, right? When a poet is trying to make that choice. And I think because of the volta, because of the turn, something has happened with the self here. Something has happened where the I in the poem suddenly becomes the capital I, right? Like the bond of live things everywhere. The I is now somehow strengthened or bigger in many ways. Um, okay, we can probably talk about this poem forever, and all poems I think we could talk about forever because the one thing I love about poetry is that we make such particular decisions, I think, as poets. I feel sometimes like, I don't know, like uh, a surgeon or a car mechanic, like there's so many little bits and pieces, it's hard to describe to people who are like not fans of poetry, which by the way, I'm like totally skeptical of. I feel like if we could just get them to like poetry, I believe it's gonna happen. Anyhow, I wanted to write inspired by this poem. Let me actually stop screen sharing for a moment. Um, and we're going to actually write a poem that we're going to help each other with collaboratively, one part of it, which is in Clifton's poem, we've got kiss making and bed pot, which Zach noticed. I would love for us to actually in the chat start to generate, and if you can offer at least maybe two made up words that we'll gift to each other as we write. This is when you start looking around the room and start putting words together. But let's offer that in the chat for each other. Maybe one or two, maybe three of these made up words, and I'll give you the next step to the writing exercise we'll do. Okay, keep adding them to the chat. I'm just going to read some of these, which sounds like its own poem somehow. Okay, salt wound, floor bell, snaggle glass, loom sky, coping machine, band jam, light sifter, sad jewel, light flexion, window side, trader go find, anatomical fry. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. So many here. It's I'm just so curious which ones stand out to you all. Here's my prompt for you, inspired by Lucille Clifton. I want us to start by writing in the kitchen space. So we're starting in a tangible place, and starting with you doing some sort of prep. So that may mean you're boiling hot water. That may mean you might be grating ginger. I'm not sure, but something that has significance for you, like some sort of prep or just the beginning of a meal. And then whatever memories or ideas or feelings pop up, great, go follow them. I would love for you to incorporate at least one of the words that we generated together, have it be light sifter, whichever one that stands out to you. So incorporate that as you're writing. Continue to write, but when you hear me say Volta, I want you to turn elsewhere. I want you to Volta and go somewhere else. I have no idea where you're going to go. Have it be literally or emotionally, I don't know, but you have to turn. You have to go somewhere else. And we'll see what happens when you do. It'll be a bit of a surprise for all of us, but it does create a little pressure. Okay, so I'll rewrite the prompt in the chat, but again, we're beginning in the kitchen, doing some sort of prep. Maybe that has significance for you, incorporating one word from or two from this list, and then listen for when I call out Volta. And I'll type the Volta in the chat too, in case you want me to do that as well. But I'll rewrite the prompt in the chat. Okay. All right. We'll write for a little bit together. It's time. Volta. Hey, I'm just gonna give you another minute or two just to add a few more lines. Okay. And I'm just gonna bring us back for now, however far you got. And I'm so curious as to what happens in this journey, especially the Volta and how you weaved in these words. Does anybody want to share theirs? Maybe a few? Yeah, Cynthia. And hopefully your mic is working.
I think it's working now.
Yay!
Yay! I had to go in and refresh things and click things. All right. The hardest part is remembering there are ingredients in the fridge. The cupboard doors are not just ornamental, a banjam of snaggle glass and cornstarch. Why did I get that cornstarch? Too often I forget. Things rot, liquefy. My therapist tells me it's an ADHD thing, but there are so many already, like recipes collecting themselves with the best intentions. I check 5 more cookbooks out from the library, hoping one will fall directly on a dinner plate that self-replicates. A copy machine, a coping machine, machete dreams, just cut out the noise, focus on the task at hand, which is what again? Dinner maybe, or bills. I think I had plans to design a website last Tuesday. If only I had the ingredients, if only they weren't hiding in one of those boxes waiting to be recycled.
Wow, Cynthia, I love that. I love the propulsive energy of it and the music in it too, especially when you're starting to do the slant rhymes in there too. So great. Thank you, thank you. I loved how you use some of these words. Like there are words that I like were scared to use because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that one. You did it. So thank you, Cynthia. That's great. Um, anyone else want to share theirs or part of theirs? Yeah, Sandy.
Okay. I only incorporated one word, sorry. But and it barely fits in there. Okay. Wash the rice, wash the rice. Always twice, but sometimes thrice. But I'm always in a rush. Rinsed once, the rest flushed. Banjan on the radio. It's the difference, but my mom always knows. She exclaims or nags from below. How does she know? Wash the rice, wash the rice. Which is funny because my mom is standing across from me right now.
Is she washing rice?
No, I made rice earlier today.
Oh, okay. Just who knew? Thank you, Sandy. I love the circularity of the poem too. Band jam on the radio. It's great. It's great. Thank you. Maybe a couple more. Anyone else want to share theirs or part of theirs? Thank you, Clarissa, for sharing in the chat too. I love the repetition of gone at the end. Anyone else?
I would love to go
Ezra?
next.
Yeah.
Lay out the cans. Wipe all of the rat scurry and the bug shimmy from the lids before cracking. Peel and mince the onions. Add them to your pot with a measure of oil and weep with them. Lean deep and let them cover your salt wound. Add the spices as memory and guests will permit. Next, peppers. Dice rapidly because you forgot about them earlier. Like you've forgotten many things. Like the old man that came alive with a guitar in hand, plucking memory beyond his own grasp. But the body remembers. The body always remembers and keeps a score. Window sigh and let it wash over. That was then and the chili is now. Add the beef and brown.
Oh, I love that, Ezra. I could feel the Volta too. Double, I almost felt like there was two there, actually. That was really, really cool. I think it was like the part with the body remembers, but then there was the I think it was the music. Was it a band? I can't remember. Now I'm just like thinking of band jams. I can't think of anything else besides that when you mentioned music. What was that line with that was the Volta?
The actual, when you said the Volta, was I was already writing because you forgot about them earlier. And then I added, like, you've forgotten many things, and then adding in the old man.
Yes, that part. Yeah, that Volta part. That's great. Thank you, Ezra. Anyone else? One more? I can share mine. I also like I barely can read my handwriting. It's like all over the place. Okay. Um, cutting apple slices as thin as a moth-devoured sweater, sad jewel of November, a bit too grainy, soft like my brother's face at 8. The apples almost no good. No way to save this light sifter of golden delicious. I hate wasting food. I hate apples. They are the last fruit I will ever choose. I hate that I can choose to prefer an orange. My mother would whack my head if she knew where the stemmed core goes to waste, mud buried below. Bad daughter, bad fruit. Yeah, so thanks everyone for writing. These are great. Thanks for sharing and for writing. Okay, I've got one more prompt for you all today. If you happen to be somewhat near the kitchen or something of that sort, this may be a good opportunity for you to go find a vegetable or a fruit and bring it closer to you. If you're not able to do that, that's okay. You can just imagine what the fruit or vegetable is. But sometimes I find it helpful to have the thing in front of me. I'm personally going to be choosing a sweet potato today. I honestly don't know still the difference between a sweet potato and a yam, but I'm pretty sure this is a sweet potato. What I wanted to do, we're going to read a poem called The Traveling Onion by Naomi Shihab Nye. And we're going to be writing a poem inspired by some sort of fruit or vegetable that has significance to you, or you just found it. So whichever it is. Before we read the poem, does anybody have one, a fruit or vegetable with them somehow? Okay. Okay, I see many fruits. I know. I like how Zach, you're like, I don't know where to get fruit. Ariana, what is that fruit? Oh, don't worry if you can't unmute yourself.
Okay, we're good. I did it. I have a mango. There was just
Oh,
one.
I was wondering because it looked like an apple,
Yeah,
but it is a mango.
it's a mango. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Ezra, did I also see some fruits and vegetables?
I've got both a sweet potato and a cucumber.
Okay, all right. We don't know what we're going to do, but you can choose one or you can somehow combine them. I'm not sure. For anyone who doesn't have one in front of you, just think of one that is somewhat significant to you. Okay, let's read a poem by Naomi Shibnai over here. Unfortunately, we don't have audio for this. I would love to hear Naomi read it, but would anybody be so kind, like a kind volunteer, to read The Traveling Onion by Naomi Shibnai?
I can do it if no one else wants to.
Thank you. Thanks, Ariana.
It is believed that the onion originally came from India. In Egypt, it was an object of worship. Why, I haven't been able to find out. From Egypt, the onion entered Greece and on to Italy, thence into all of Europe. Better Living Cookbook. When I think how far the onion has traveled just to enter my stew today, I could kneel and praise all small forgotten miracles. Crackly paper peeling on the drain board, pearly layers in smooth agreement, the way the knife enters onion and onion falls apart on the chopping block, a history revealed. And I would never scold the onion for causing tears. It is right that tears fall for something small and forgotten. How at meal we sit to eat, commenting on texture of meat or herbal aroma, but never on the translucence of onion, now limp, now divided, or its traditionally honorable career. For the sake of others, disappeared.
Thank you, Ariana, for reading this poem. Thank you so much. The lovely reading of it. There's a lot to say in this poem, thinking about the onion, which, to be honest, I don't think about much. So this is kind of an ode to, of course, has that feeling, but there's a lot of different layers of emotion in here too. What are you all noticing about this poem? Anything stand out, have it be a line, or even just the emotion that it kind of causes in you as you're reading and listening? Feel free to type in the chat too, but does anyone want to start us off?
I love the line about I would never scold the onion for causing tears. As someone who like really cries quite heavily with onions, it's a fascinating way to turn around my thoughts on it.
I love that. Yeah, that there's, and I would never scold the onion for causing tears. It is right that tears fall for something small and forgotten. There's a lot of tenderness in that moment for sure. Also, I don't know if this is true, but like ever since I got contacts, I can't cry now with onions. I don't know if that's like a thing, but I'm protected now like through my like contacts lenses. Don't know if that's, don't test me on anything like scientific, but anyhow, thanks for that, Sarah. Anyone else want to speak to another moment in the poem that stood out to you?
I don't know if I'm still muted.
Oh yeah, Kate, we can hear you.
I really love the smooth agreement.
Yes.
Yeah, my letters are tiny, so I'm trying to find that place in the
Mhm.
but I've never heard it put that way. Early layers and smooth agreement.
I love that you mentioned that line because I also feel like it's such a unique way to describe something. Crackly paper peeling on the drain board, pearly layers in smooth agreement. Um, yeah, that there's something, when you cut an onion, you have to really pry it apart. And there's something about this move agreement, like they are so like, I don't know, it's so curled in there. But the word agreement surprises me too, because it's not as, say, like poetic language, like words like pearly. I love that there's both language, like a different choices of language here. But I love it. I love that way that it's like written in this way too. Thank you, Kate. Anyone else? Things you're noticing? Lines?
I like how I think that she looks at the onion as someone, as
Mhm.
and that someone who's given their life in service, their career, an honorable career.
Mhm. Yeah, I really love that point too, Zach, about how in many ways, like giving this onion a sense of being, right? And for its traditionally honorable career for the sake of others disappear. Of course, like we don't really know exactly what Naomi Shihab Nye is thinking when she's writing this poem, but this onion could also mean many things, just in terms of like, I think when I was sharing this poem with other writers, that someone was like, oh, it maybe feels like, women's labor while cooking, like oh, thinking about that. But we don't know that. We don't know exactly what this onion is, but you're right, it is an entity, it is felt, it is real, and it's given its time and day in this poem, in the writing of it. And that there is something there about even the fact that there's moments where in this poem the article is taken away, right? So this is earlier in the poem. The way the knife enters onion, and onion falls apart on the chopping block. Like it no longer is the onion, it's just onion, right? So it's like it's cut even more, even in the syntax. I love that line, a history revealed, right? Like on its own line. There's a lot here, and I always think too, like how it starts, how we kneel and praise all small forgotten miracles, like how we need to pause and really think about those moments of gratitude and praise, how long the onion has traveled there. I don't know if some of you are like gardeners or have done gardening, but my mom is an incredible gardener. And I have a green thumb, but it's only indoor plants. I might have potentially 70. Haven't counted lately, so I'm a little scared to count all my indoor plants. But my mom's a big outdoor kind of gardener, and the time it takes for a vegetable to grow, like an onion to grow like this, and then we just kind of it's just the starter thing. I always think about that too. Okay, let me stop sharing. We're gonna write our last kind of prompt together. Um, and think about, I mentioned like, okay, maybe it's the mango or it's the cucumber or sweet potato. If there's something that's in front of you, for me, it helps so that I can actually like touch it and feel it and write it about it. But if there's in your mind like a particular vegetable or fruit, I suppose we could do like other kind of ingredients too, like flour, um, but something that has significance for you or has some sort of resonance. I would love for you to begin this poem by actually starting with how did this vegetable or fruit or this food item arrive to you? Like, how did you get this, right? How did it arrive in your stew? Where did it travel? Like, how did it get here? I want you to start there and then go kind of like more into kind of giving that vegetable or fruit its kind of day, right? Like to give it some sort of praise. And whatever memories pop up or, evocative images come up, go for them and see where that takes you. And we'll write for a little bit. This one's a little more of an open-ended prompt, but we'll start with like, how did this get to you today? Where does it lead you? And what kind of tenderness can we give this fruit or vegetable? Okay, I'll retype that all in the chat, and then we'll write for a little bit, and we'll come back together. Okay, I'm just gonna give you another minute or so just to add a few more lines, and then I'll bring us back. Okay, and I'm gonna slowly gather us back together. In my dream space, the next iteration of these types of workshops is that I'm actually cooking at the same time. I don't know. I don't know why, but I feel like I need like a poetry cooking show or something. Um, I should be clear, I'm not that great of a cook. It's so funny because I like write about food and I can't seem to cook. But anyway, I'm so excited to see what you did, where you went with this poem, and where the fruit and vegetable took you. Does anybody want to share theirs or whatever part of theirs that you want to share or part of the poem you want to share?
Hey, so I don't know if like it's not really a poem. I mean, right? It's like okay, but I'll read it anyway. Gilroy, California is the garlic capital of the world. Not that mine came from there. I can only hope. There is no spaghetti without garlic. There is no artichoke dip without garlic. There is no toast without garlic. Sturdy clove, strong protector of the gift. First, the fleshy skin sheds and falls, submits to the something wind. Then the knobles, pieces with protective skin, surgically slit down the middle to expose the flesh. Something artichoke dip would be just artichokes, mayonnaise, and Parmesan cheese. They sit and wait to come alive for the zest. 3 knobles in a garlic press, transform, pressed, crushed, as they squirt into the mayonnaise bowl. The other ingredients cheer. We are whole now.
Wow. It almost felt like I was like in some sort of garlic game. I don't know how to
The
describe
garlic
the
games.
garlic games. I don't know. It felt like that. Thank you so much, Zach. I loved that. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, what is a poem? That's a great question to even start. It's all genres somehow. I feel like it's the most encompassing genre of all. Thank you, Zach. Anyone else want to share what they wrote or bits of what they wrote?
So,
Yeah, thanks, Annie.
mine's similar. I felt like not really like a poem, but this is what I wrote. I have a pineapple. Um, this pineapple traveled 3,000 miles to be stored in a warehouse among hundreds and thousands of others. Was she taken too young, like my mother escaped from a farm from another country? Did she ripen on her journey to be sweet, not sharp or sour, like the bushes she was plucked from? Finally chosen in a massive abundance, she awaits her fate to be expertly sliced and diced by a formal pineapple farmer. That's as far as I got.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. I was so surprised, but it, like the kind of relationship with the mother in there too was so powerful. Goodness, Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Sandy. Cynthia.
I love the pineapple poem as well. I don't know if it's because I don't have a fruit or vegetable with me, but I couldn't find a connection. And I was thinking about something that traveled and ended up writing this poem about my cat. It is a mystery, a guess of his age, and the tone of his jaw creates theories of the days before, but he's not talking. Sometimes our stories are our own, or we just don't have the words. Instead, he acts out, climbs my chest when he wants affection, always on his terms. The way he looks at me herds me towards the food whenever I'm close to the counter. The way he gets close to my nose if I'm sobbing, tickles my lips with his whiskers, trying to soak in my story, letting me know he understands.
Oh, that's so sweet. Let me the soak in my story moment was like really tender to me. Oh, that's so is your cat around? Like, is it still like
He's
like,
at
pet
he's at
time?
home.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's like the one thing
yeah.
I love about Zoom is like the pets, like,
He's when I adopted him, they had told me that they had thought he was like 4 or 5, and then when I went to the vet, she was like, he might be a year and a half, and like so they're just like different things, and so different theories about where
Mm,
he was and what his life was like before he came to me. So uh,
I'm
I
glad
think
this
it's
poem came out in this way for you then. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. Maybe one or two more. Anyone else want to share?
I can go.
Yeah.
I brought a cucumber. I know Jane had a sweet potato, so I thought I'd go with the cucumber. I have actually never grown a cucumber, but I've grown a zucchini and I've grown okra. So I kind of combined both of those a little bit. Um, Vines twine and spread, like that of zucchini and eggplant and pepper. Water percolating, absorbing, and crystallizing into beautiful flowers of golden, like daffodils without the danger. A beautiful marriage of sun and water, nursing and engorging fruit, till it is sun-kissed and plucked by migrant hands of seasonal workers, its spines removed, waxing and taming it for its halogen spotlight miles away.
Mm. Did you say halogen spotlight?
Yes.
Yeah, such a cool phrase. I love that. Thank you, Ezra. That was great. Also, you could have done, it could have been like sweet potato versus sweet potato. That could have been funny. To see what happens. I love that. Um, Anyone else? One more?
I would read mine if somebody else doesn't want to go.
We could
'Cause
have
mine's
another person go too.
okay. Mine's
I'm
not a
greedy.
poem. Yeah, mine's so not a poem. I don't really know what it is, but okay. I picked you out of the bin, giving you a little squeeze to see if there was just the right amount of give. Your knobby black skin belies the smooth green flesh beneath. You were the perfect amount of ripe, and now the timer starts. Will I wait too long, as I do so often, thinking just one more day, only to press on your skin again and feel that space between skin and flesh that tells me once again, I have waited too long. Once again, I've let you down. Next time I'll do better. Next time.
Oh, thanks, Claire.
I am the avocado killer. Just
That should be the title.
best of intentions, best of intentions with the avocados. But
Oh my God. Wow. 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 Okay. I feel like also it says a lot about the one thing that we can't, like, I don't know, like with food, like for some reason, like I can't finish a whole bundle of cilantro and it just like rots, and I'm just like, but I can't bear to throw it away. So I just kind of just stare at it. Anyhow. Um, Anybody else? Last takers? Okay, all right. Let's see. I'll read a little bit of mine then. Might as well. I don't know. the ending, so it's just gonna end abruptly, but okay, I did the sweet potato. The alien light of Whole Foods, fluorescent fever, priced by the pound, though I would eat 1,000 pounds of you, a mountain heap, little sweet potato of my mother's childhood, how I'd pull earthly tubers up like a boulder, I'd roll into my belly rock by purple rock, rocked like a lullaby, tossing the potatoes to myself to sing myself, oh soft middle, oh candy planet, oh starchy stupor. If only I could steal you from the grocery store. And that's all I have so far. That's all I got. But it was funny to sing a, I don't know, potato lullaby, I suppose. Oh soft middle, oh candy planet, oh starchy stupor. Um, yeah, I'll probably roast this like later. Um, Thank you all so much for like writing and playing around today with nourishment. It definitely made my evening because I always think like, oh, like the workday and all this, but everything, life, and adulting and all that. But to spend some time together, especially with people I know, but also people I don't know, together to write and dream up new poems always makes me really happy. So thank you for being here and for sharing and for writing. Thank you so much, Sarah, for making this happen, and Claire too, and also the folks at SPL as well. It's just a joy. It really is. It made me so happy to be here with you all tonight. Be in touch too. Somehow, like, find me. I'll say hi. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jane. That was really a joy to be a part of. So really want to appreciate your time, and just so that folks know, like we always do events with all of our winners, and we try to do some kind of mix of online and in person. And so we do a lot of author talks, but this is one of the first like workshops I've been a part of. So it's really fun to do. A bonus, of course, that you're a teacher on top of being an incredible writer as well. So it's really, really feel lucky to have been a part of this. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah, and on behalf of Whatcom County Library System, thank you for so much for including us. We were really happy to be co-hosts of this event.
Oh yeah, so happy. I love the Whatcom County Library. It's so funny. I'm in Bellingham like every other day, so just I'll be there tomorrow. But it's such a joy. Yeah, I know when Sarah asked me like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I was like, I don't want to do an author talk. I don't want to hear myself talk about myself. I want to hear people write poems. So that was my goal, and so it happened. So I'm so thrilled that you all found your way here somehow, and wrote some poems. And I hope that they gave you some nourishment and that you keep tinkering with them too, and reading poems moving forward too. They always give me a lot of solace, especially. That's it, but I hope I get to, see some of you, soon. So thanks for being here. Yay.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Bye.